In this session, I'm going to talk about getting started. Getting started with your basic preparation for starting to script and write plans, policy, procedure, starting to train all your teams, your first impressions, your guest relations, your greeters, parking lot ministry, every team that comes together for safety and security and staff member on your campus, how to get started. That's the biggest topic that I tackle when I'm out there meeting with churches. I meet with churches with a lot of talent on their campus that simply, they just don't know where to get started from. It seems like a huge task. Well, the first place we need to get started at is your mindset. It's an awareness level of where to get started. I can't teach that. You can't go out and buy that anywhere. It's the mindset and awareness level. Every member of your security teams, your staff, your support teams has to have the awareness level of it's needed. Emergency operation planning is needed. That bad things just don't happen to other church campuses elsewhere. That it's a possibility that it could happen right here on our campus. That's the biggest mindset to overcome with this. It's an awareness level, the awareness of the need. And until you have everybody on the same page, that there's awareness level and a need to have emergency operation plans, to have your safety teams and committees in place with your medical and security. And just simply having members of your congregation that are firefighters and law enforcement, prior military, work in the government in this, that is not the same for being properly prepared. So the very first thing in getting started is this mindset, the awareness level. And whatever it takes to break through to all the people, to whether you have an outsider come in and do a seminar, whether you do case studies, where you break down the most recent events and accidents on church campuses to show the need for this, it's an awareness level. Until you have everybody with this awareness level and this mindset of why it's needed, you don't really have proper planning. Because even if you roll out proper policy and procedure, you go ahead and gather the teams together, until everybody understands the importance of this, it's still not going to do very much good if everybody's not actually following policy. Because people tend not to follow policy that they don't agree with or they don't see the need for. So the biggest item is the awareness level of why. Now, the second one within the church community is a sense of urgency. Because in the church community, we are so busy, every campus, I know we go from one event to the other. As soon as we finish the Easter event, we're going to the next one. As soon as we finish that one, we're going to back to school. It's always something. That's why a sense of urgency that we've got to start planning. We've already overcome the awareness. Now your entire team and leadership is on board and they understand the awareness. Something could happen here. We could have a medical event, a natural disaster, a negative event on a different scope. It could very well happen here. But there's always something going on. So that sense of urgency, we need to understand that we have the awareness. We need to start this now on the getting started. And we're notorious in the church as Christians as wanting to form committees and have chairmen. I know often I've seen well-meaning churches get excited about starting their safety teams, about starting to write emergency operation plans, come up with policies and procedures to cover every area of the church. And what happens, I've literally seen this. They work, they elect a chairman, then they spend the next couple months coming up with a luncheon, and at the luncheon they're going to talk about electing the team members, and at the next one they're going to talk about having the dinner for the awareness level. And literally, I've seen this get drug out over more than a year or so in luncheons and meetings just to get started. We don't have the luxury of this. We need to get started right away. There's got to be a sense of urgency all the way from your senior pastor, all the way down through your staff, support staff, and your volunteers that are on all your safety teams. A sense of urgency that this could happen tomorrow and we're not prepared. Everybody needs to understand, what if this happens tomorrow? And you've got to go through with that sense of urgency. Please don't put this in committee to continue to follow up with luncheons and dinners and breakfast and elections and a lot of things. Utilize the people you have. You have great people on your campus. Utilize these people and get started. You need to set deadlines right away. These deadlines should not take 6 and 12 months to start getting key steps done. True, you might not have a complete emergency operation plan done over the course of several months, or it might even take more than a year, but you need to start right now getting key elements done. It's not going to happen overnight, but key elements, and that leads right to the next thing of planning. Once you get the sense of urgency, you have the awareness, planning. Well, what is that? You need to plan for these items. You need to understand where to get started and the items that could possibly affect your church campus. It's an all-hazards approach. There's other sessions that talks about once you get to this point about where to jump in and get started. But plans, plans, plans. You've got to have emergency operation plans, standard operating procedures, policy and procedures to cover everything that could come up on your church campus. Now, you shouldn't have to worry about obscure things from outer space coming and hitting your campus. That's not what I'm talking about. Hazards likely to affect your church campus. If you just turn on the news, any given week, you can see hazards that are likely to affect your church campus, whether they're man-made or natural. That's what I'm talking about, most likely. But the very last stage is planning. You've got to start. You've got great resources within the church to refer to. In this series, there's a lot of sessions here that gives you steps and puzzle pieces and where to get started. So, in 3 steps, how we're going to get started together, it's going to be the awareness. Everybody from top down needs to come with the awareness and understand why they're doing it. Remember, if people don't understand why they're doing this policy and procedure, they're not going to follow it, and they're not going to be on board, and they're not going to be excited about it. This is to give everybody confidence to continue on with the mission of the church. Sense of urgency. This is not something to get caught up in committees and luncheons and meetings. We need to act on this right away and get started. Third, with our plans. We've got to start planning right away for all hazards planning. Now, this is just simply to get you started, a starting point. I hope this helps as you continue to watch the other sessions in the series about actually starting to build your teams and your assessments and your plans and policy. But this is simply three easy steps of where you and your team need to get started.